The alarm goes off, 8 hours of sleep, and still you feel broken. You blame yourself, the mattress, the screen time, the coffee. But what if the tiredness isn't a flaw in you? What if you're simply sleeping in a way your body was never built for? Because the way you sleep tonight is barely 300 years old. And for most of human history, no one slept the way you do. They didn't sleep 8 hours straight. They slept in two. Two separate sleeps split by an hour of quiet darkness in the middle of the night. And almost everyone alive has forgotten this ever existed. This is the story of the sleep that was taken from you. In the 1980s, a historian was digging through old English court records, depositions, diaries, prayer books, medical texts, plays, and he kept tripping over the same strange phrase again and again. First sleep. And then, a little later, second sleep. Not as a metaphor, as something completely ordinary. Written the way you'd write after lunch, no explanation needed. He found it once. Then 10 times, then hundreds of times. His name was Roger Ekirch, a professor at Virginia Tech. It took him years to accept what the documents were plainly saying. Humans were never designed to sleep in one solid block. In 2001, he laid it all out in the American Historical Review. Over 500 references from more than a dozen languages. The evidence stretched from ancient times to the 1700s. This wasn't a local quirk. It was how the human species slept. But here's the part that changes how you see your own nights. Picture a village 400 years ago. The sun is gone. There is no electric light. When darkness falls, there is almost nothing to do. So people go to bed early, sometimes just after sunset. This is the first sleep. Deep, heavy, dead to the world. Then around midnight, something happens. Their eyes open. Not from a nightmare. Not from noise, naturally, on their own. And for about an hour, the whole household is quietly awake. They pray. They talk softly. They tend the fire. They think. They drift. Some visit a neighbor's house. Doctors even advised couples to conceive children during this hour. It was calm, ordinary, unremarkable. The most peaceful hour of the night. Then they lie back down for the second sleep until dawn. 2 sleeps. 1 waking. Every single night. For thousands of years. So where did it go? Why don't you wake at midnight and feel fine? Because something reached into the human night and rewired it. The villain in this story is not a person. It is light. For most of history, when the sun set, the world simply switched off. A candle was a luxury. Fuel was expensive. Darkness was the default. Then, in the early 1800s, cities began to glow. Gas street lamps pushed back the night. The dark hours got shorter. Coffee houses, theaters, taverns. The night became a place to be awake. People stayed up later. Bedtime slid toward midnight. And the long, dark, empty evening that split sleep in two vanished. Then, in 1879, one invention finished the job. Thomas Edison's electric bulb turned night into a switch you could flip. Suddenly the night was cheap, bright, and endless, and human sleep got squeezed into a single compressed block. But light had an accomplice, the factory clock. The Industrial Revolution chained human life to fixed hours. Clock in at 6, clock out at 6, no room for a midnight waking. Sleep now had a job, recharge you fast, in one uninterrupted shift. Waking in the night stopped being normal. It became a problem. And a problem, of course, needs a name. Doctors gave it one. They called it insomnia. The most peaceful hour of the pre-modern night became a disorder. By the 1920s, the phrase first sleep had almost disappeared from language. Within a couple of generations, the memory was simply gone. You inherited the 8-hour block as if it were a law of nature. It isn't. It's a schedule. And your body never signed the contract. But maybe this is just old history. Maybe modern bodies are different. In the early 1990s, one scientist decided to test exactly that. His name was Thomas Wehr at the National Institute of Mental Health. His idea was simple. Take away artificial light. See what the body does. He put volunteers into 14 hours of darkness every night. No screens, no lamps, no glow, just long natural night. For the first few weeks, they simply caught up on lost sleep. But then, something ancient woke back up inside them. Their sleep split in two, on its own, without being told to. A first sleep, a waking period around midnight, then a second sleep. Exactly the pattern Ekirch had found in 400-year-old diaries. And in that midnight gap, their bodies did something remarkable. A hormone called prolactin flooded their systems. It left them in a state they described as peaceful meditation. Not anxious, not restless, serene, awake, but deeply at rest. The exact opposite of how you feel when you wake at 3 a.m. today. So let's answer the real question. Why do you wake up exhausted? Inside you runs a 24-hour clock called your circadian rhythm. It decides when hormones rise, when your temperature drops, when you dip. At night, a hormone called melatonin tells your body it's time to sleep. But melatonin has one great enemy: bright light, especially blue light. The screen in your hand at midnight tells your brain the sun is still up. So melatonin comes late. Your whole inner clock shifts backward. You fall asleep late, but the alarm still rings at the same time. The alarm rips you out of deep sleep, not out of it naturally. And you wake inside a fog scientists call sleep inertia. Your brain is still partly offline. Groggy, heavy, slow, that's the tiredness, not weakness. A clock forced out of alignment. Researchers even have a name for it: social jet lag. You never left your city, but your body thinks it flew across the world. And here's the twist almost no one tells you. Waking in the middle of the night may not be broken at all. For most of history, it was the healthiest night a human could have. The panic you feel at 3 a.m. isn't your body failing. It's your body remembering a rhythm the modern world erased. So why do you wake up tired? Because gas lamps stole your evening darkness. Because Edison turned the night into a switch. Because factories chained your sleep to a clock. Because a natural midnight waking was renamed a disorder. And because the screen in your hand keeps telling your brain it's noon. None of this was decided by your biology. It was built around you. You were handed a single block of sleep and told it was natural. It was never natural. It was convenient. For the factory, not for you. So the next time you wake in the dark and feel afraid you've failed, remember that for thousands of years this was simply the middle of the night. A quiet hour that belonged to you before anyone sold you the clock. You didn't lose your sleep. It was taken, and now you know who took it.